You are listening to the Novel Writing Podcast, episode 75. Grab a cup, cozy up, and let's get to writing. Today's episode is about the oft-given advice to not self-edit while writing your first draft. I want to clear some things up about this advice. If you catch a misspelling while in a writing frenzy and then go back to make the red squiggle disappear, I don't consider fixing the typo to be the type of self-editing we want to avoid in the first draft. Same thing if you get to chapter 7 and realize with horror that you forgot a very important detail in chapters 1 through 6 that you can't reconcile in the rest of the book without going back to fix it. If making the changes while you write reduces how much fixing time you have to invest after the first draft, then I say do it. However, if you're evaluating the scenes you just wrote to see if they have enough description, if the dialogue is snappy and satisfying enough, and if you have enough of a balance of show and tell, and then you spend an hour trying to fix things, don't. This is the type of self-editing we want to avoid because it can send you as the author into a spiral of asking yourself if the work is quote-unquote good enough and answering that question by constantly trying to improve it. Remember from the last episode, the first draft's only job is to exist. Let it exist as messy as you can handle. In general, don't self-edit while you write. However, I would be remiss to not point out a notable exception to this in K.M. Weiland's 50-page edit. K.M. Weiland is the host of the Helping Writers Become Authors podcast, who has published 5 novels and 10 books on writing craft. Her 50-page edit is where she stops at each quarter mark of her novels to reread what she's written and make sure that the plot is on track to the outline. I do recommend rereading what you have written so you don't lose sight of the story, but if you take a long time to write your first draft, it can become easy to forget what you've written before and end up with an incoherent manuscript at the end if you didn't take some time to review and course correct before continuing. The urge to self-edit while writing is strong. I won't deny or minimize that. The lure to fix what you just wrote, to rewrite and tweak and change things over and over to make it just right, can at times feel overwhelming and even addicting. But just like any other urge, like to overeat, to doom scroll on social media, or binge watch Netflix, it only has power if you give in to it and answer it by doing what it asks. I want to challenge you to allow that self-editing urge to exist without answering it. Just let it be there. You will be uncomfortable, absolutely. But the better you get at not answering those urges, the faster your first draft will go. And I'd bet you'll have less self-doubt at the end of it because you actually managed to finish something. Finishing a book is no small feat. Hundreds of thousands of writers participate every year in National Novel Writing Month, but not all of them finish. And a small percentage of those finishers actually go on to publish, whether via self-publishing or traditional. I want to challenge you to challenge yourself to finish that first draft without getting caught up in the urge to self-edit and become a finisher who is that much closer to having your book in print. That's it for today's episode on not self-editing while writing the first draft. Thanks for joining me, and remember, the first draft is supposed to be garbage. Thanks for listening to the Novel Writing Podcast. If you're ready to stop struggling and start finishing your novel, check out the 60-Day Novel Writing Challenge. It's a step-by-step program designed for solo writers to complete their first draft with clarity and focus. Visit the link in the description to learn more.